Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of
Hey, we're here today at the American Legion. We're going to have a walk in the footsteps of an American hero, Lieutenant Lee Hayes, Tuskegee Airman. We're going to make our way to the Amagansett skate park for a formal dedication and a celebration of Juneteenth. It's a beautiful day, and we have many of the Hayes family. Lee was one of 13 siblings, and here's the progeny. They're here in force, and we look forward to a beautiful celebration. And thanks to LTV for covering our community events.
full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who has brought us thus far. Oh,
That's why you wanted to meet Obama. So you can give him some ideas.
I gotta talk to Kamala.
I really didn't think it was like that. That's your friend. One friend is mine. Idaho. Yeah.
Your regular attention, but then you got on, don't get the point. First call, you gotta get to that line.
said good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, to the Honorable Congresswoman Stacy Plaskett, who's on her way, Town Supervisor Peter Van Scorik, members of the Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated, family, friends, distinguished guests, I bring you greetings. What a wonderful day to be in the Hamptons. My name is Rodney Hillman, and on behalf of the entire Hayes family, we welcome you to the Lieutenant Lee A. Hayes Youth Park Dedication Ceremony and Juneteenth celebration. Now, indeed, this is an extraordinary day for the Hayes family, and we would like to thank each and every person for being here. I know that many of you have traveled long distances to join us, so please know that your presence means the world to us. We are very honored as we appreciate you. We are all here to honor a great man and to celebrate a truly historic event. Lieutenant Lee Hayes was the oldest of 13 children, and I represent his many nephews and nieces. In fact, Uncle Lee used to live just up the street here on Town Lane in a house that he built with his own hands. For many years, his father Gurley Hayes lived right next door to him, while his brother George lived on the other side of him. His sister Jenny lived across the street from him, and his brother Willie lived right next door to her. Another sister, Helen, who was my mother, lived right behind him. Now, this close proximity of homes was affectionately known as Hayesville. Now, when I grew up in Hayesville, I could get in the car with anybody, any place in the Hamptons and say, hey, take me to Hayesville, and they knew exactly where I was talking about. Many of you who grew up near Hayesville will remember that Uncle Lee passed by this particular area every day while taking his early morning walks. This is what makes this location so appropriate. Lee Hayes was a man always dedicated to his country, his large family, and to his community. Uncle Lee was also articulate, soft-spoken, and self-educated. He was not only a role model for the Hayes family, but was an example for the entire community of just how much a person can achieve despite facing enormous challenges. You see, as a teenager, he dropped out of school to help his parents support his 12 younger siblings. Later, he was drafted into the Army and served as a bomber pilot with the prestigious Tuskegee Airman, a distinction usually reserved for college graduates. When Uncle Lee completed his service, he wanted to fly commercial airplanes, but was turned down by all the airlines. This was despite the huge demand for former military pilots. So what did he do? He just adapted to the reality of that era, returned home, and formed a carpentry business with his brothers. Now, like I said earlier, this is an extraordinary event for the Hayes family. But this event would not be made possible without the Hayes 13 Committee and others that will be recognized throughout the ceremony. However, I want to personally acknowledge and thank my cousin, Julian Hopson. She was the inspiration for making this dedication a reality. Julian, can you stand up? Thank you. Thank you, Julian. Again, I want to thank everyone for attending. Now we're going to all stand up and we're going to cite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the presentation by the color guard. Colors by the color guard. gentlemen, another one of my cousins, Devin King.
Good morning, family.
Morning. Morning.
Thank you to Rodney. Please join me in singing the Black National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with our harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who has brought us thus far. Oh, away, thou who has by thy might led us unto the light. Keep us forever in thy path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever say, true to our God, true to our native land. Thank you. I love you, family.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Walter Silver Thompson.
What an honor today to recognize one who has not only walked with God, but also flown with God. And I was listening and I was wondering, did Lieutenant Hayes have any relationship with Jimi Hendrix?
That's the only version I have.
That's the only version you have. That's a great version. What a tribute. There was a man who walked with God, and he walked with God for so long that he was not, because God took him. Here is a day that has been designated in dedicating a park to American hero, a giant of a man, And I can amazing walk this morning from down the street. I barely made it, but I understood that he made that walk every day. And he made an impact in the lives of this community and all of us here today as we celebrate his life. Father, we are so grateful for this opportunity that you have given all of us to gather here together. It is the spirit of this man that have galvanized us together and summons us to this hallowed spot, where it will become a beacon of light in this dark and benighted world, leading pilgrims to this point of departure, where it will allow us to experience the spirit of a man whose life was dedicated to the service of this country and his God. We ask that you would hand the torch to not only the family members but to this community, and that the light and the love of God would manifest itself from this place, that the joy and excitement of play, the joy and excitement of family and community would come to this place like never before. We are grateful for the family, and that they will continue to live on the legacy of our dear brother. Wrap your loving arms around us. Galvanize us together as a community, that we would learn to live together in a harmonious relationship as he sought to bring together the whole world, fought and died for this country. For we ask your blessings upon this day and all that we do. In Christ's name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Town Supervisor Peter Van Scoort.
Thank you, Rodney. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here today, this momentous occasion. I'd like to start, before I begin my remarks, by welcoming you all and thanking those who have been here making this happen behind the scenes. I want to thank my staff, Ann Bell, Joanne Pilgrim. I want to thank the police chief, Chief Sarlo, and our department for keeping the roads closed and safe. I want to thank our highway department who brought that boulder over, which we'll unveil later. And the buildings and grounds department and rec department who spent a lot of time sprucing up the park, power washing everything, making sure the electric was all in place. And I want to thank my fellow board members, Kathy Burt Gonzalez, Sylvia Overby, David Lease, and Kay Rogers for supporting. But I want to especially thank the Hayes family members, Julian Hopson, who brought this idea of honoring Lee Hayes in the community as a Tuskegee Airman and as a longtime member of the community and as a patriarch and uncle to many. And Alita Williams, who worked directly with my office to make sure that this day happened. And I'll tell you that Alita and I both prayed on the weather, and I think we got a great answer. So today we've walked in the footsteps of an American hero, a man who stepped forward to serve his country and was allowed to serve his country in a way that had never happened before. You have to remember, at the time, we had a segregated military. As we proceeded from the American Legion to here, I thought a lot about what this really means and what kind of context we're talking about here. The founders of our nation risked everything in order to form a new type of government, a government that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. At the time, only monarchs and emperors made decisions for the populace. Our forebears embarked on an ambitious path to secure basic rights for people, individual rights, and the fact that majority would rule. They wrote a Declaration of Independence, which stated, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, They created a Bill of Rights and wrote our Constitution. But we had to fight a terrible civil war to end the practice of slavery. Women did not win the right to vote in New York until 1917, and nationally until 1920. And Native Americans who'd lived here for eons were not granted citizenship until 1924. In 1948, the armed services were finally integrated. And in 1965, landmark legislation, the Voters' Rights Act, was passed. And crowning all of that, in 2008, Barack Obama became the President of the United States, the first person of African descent to reach that goal. And I have to tell you personally, for me, that was a joyous day, but I also felt a terrible burden lifted off of my shoulders, a burden that I didn't really realize existed, that finally America had reached a point where its promise was being fulfilled, that a person from any background could rise to the highest level of town, state, federal, and now finally the presidency of the United States. I mention all these facts not to be critical of our government, but to recognize that the government of people, for the people, by the people, and of the people requires that we, the people, get ourselves involved. Our democracy is not a one and done. We have to get involved, we have to exercise our right to vote, and it truly matters. We will only be a strong and unified country if we respect the rights of everyone. And as we go forth today, let us pledge to be more tolerant of others, to rejoice in our differences, to strike down the barriers that prevent individuals from achieving their full potential. Only when we will only be free as a country when the promise of America is fulfilled, and it is our responsibility, each and every one of us, to make sure that happens. God bless you all, and God bless America.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this next person, I remember seeing her for the first time when I was very small. And she's been a friend of not only my mother, but a lot of the 13. If there was a 14, I think that this person would be the 14, because she is friends with a lot of the 13 children. And she's going to say some remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, Audrey Gaines.
Appreciation. I feel so honored today to be here. I'd like to say good morning to all of you, good morning to the entire honorable guests that we have assembled here, and especially to the Hayes family. I take great pride in standing here before you this morning and my reflections of the Hayes family. I thank God for this opportunity to tell you how proud your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunts, your great-great-grandparents would be of you, all of you today. And I so happily knew all of those people. I consider myself a member of this Hayes family, and thank you for making me a member of the 14. I'm the 14th member of the Hayes family and the youngest member standing of the Hayes family. Those of you who also know the Tuskegee Lee A. Hayes and his wife were my grandparents as well. Lee had many stories about growing up here in East Hampton and Amagansett area. When he attended grade school and his time in the military, what a wonderful place it is to name the youth park after Lee Hayes. And that is also my legacy here too, because this was one of the programs, that one of the places that as the youth director for the town of East Hampton, I was able to be instrumental in having this park built. So I am so proud that he is going to be named here today. Lee had many stories about growing up here in East Hampton and Amagansett, where he attended grade school, his time in the military. I learned so much from this man as a young person growing up, then as an adult. Lee was truly an icon in this community to help and advise that he gave to so many African American families, like my own family, building houses for them when they couldn't obtain mortgages because of the color of their skin. Lee was an activist. He stood up for fairness for all people. A member always of the NAACP, was noted during the civil rights period, often spoke about his own trials and tribulations in the early years at home and in the military. Lee always held his family in the highest esteem, always there for them in whatever capacity that came up. It never ceased to amaze me to hear one of his younger sisters or brothers give him the utmost respect. That to me was a teaching moment from your family. Lee took us, a lot of us, Helen and Jane and all of the younger ones, he took us from our beloved East Hampton to the bright lights of Harlem and to the Apollo Theater and to New York. So we got to see many wonderful things under his leadership. I love this man with all my heart. I am so thankful that God put him in my life, and that I can also still tell his stories that he was so happy to share with me and many other people. Lee's existence gave this community history. Let us continue to appreciate his legacy with dignity and with pride. Thank you, Jolyn and Kelly, for your vision that became a reality. When Kelly said to me in a conversation a few years ago, he says, I think we should name Town Lane after Lee Hayes. I said, really? We're gonna have to go to all these people and get them to sign. So through that, the next thing I hear is that Jolyn was talking to the town board, and I said, oh my God, they really did it. So I heard, so thank you all the Hayeses who all did all you can to make this a reality. This is really a wonderful day for all of us. Thank you. God bless you all today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Julian Hopson.
Everybody. I am so proud. I'm a Hopson, but I'm so proud to be a Hayes, a Hartwell, and everything else. I want to say first, I want to give God the glory. If it wasn't for the Lord directing us and guiding us, this day would not be here. So I have to give all the praises to God. Town of East Hampton. We thank the Hayes family thanks the town of East Hampton for their enthusiasm, their commitment, and dedication in helping us to make this dream a true reality. Supervisor Peter Vanskoy, it took me since last October to learn how to pronounce your name, but I got it. We thank you for your vision and strategic planning in selecting the perfect location for this tribute for an American hero. Uncle Lee walked past this park, as my cousin Rodney said, for his daily walks. And not only that, it's located right near Hayesville, and his grandson Barry Johnson and great grandchildren are here, and they played here, and his grandson worked here. So this is the perfect location for Uncle Lee to be honored. Kathy Burke Gonzalez, David Lies, Joanne Pilgrim, Sylvia Overby, and Ann Bell, we thank you so much. We've had many contacts together to get this through, but you was always there for us and assisting us in every way possible. So we thank you. We thank the East Hampton Town Special Events Committee. We relied very heavily on your support and guidance for this special day, and we thank you. A special thanks to Gabriella Giller. East Hampton Chief of Police, Michael Sarlo, and his fabulous team. We thank you for providing us safety and support for this honorable dedication and for this weekend. Town of East Hampton Library, thank you for being key in helping us to secure, gather, and protect our historical data, with a special shout out to Andrea Myers for her awesome support. Allison McGovernor. Oh, we don't know how to thank you. You just have been there all the way around for us. You did so much for us. We thank you for your hard work, research, guidance, and direction in helping the Hayes family with the historical and sentimental information needed for the kiosk. You made us proud. Audrey Gaines, you know how we feel about you. We love you for always supporting the Hayes family, and yes, you are number 14. You have went above and beyond to help us with the celebration. You were there when we did a pre-celebration to go clean the grave sites, and you were there hand in hand with us. We appreciate you so much. You are filled with so much beauty inside and out, and no wonder why you were chosen to be Uncle Lee's goddaughter. Calvary Baptist Church, Reverend Walters Silver Thompson Jr. and congregation, we thank you for all your spiritual support from the very beginning. We also want to thank the First Baptist Church of Bridgehampton for their constant prayers. We had no clue that every day that they were praying for us through this. So thank you so much. Here we are. Oh, Congressman Stacy Plaskett. We know you are a very, very, very busy person. So we really appreciate your presence and always supporting the Hayes family. We are so grateful that you are with us today, celebrating this monumental moment with us. Thank you for being here. International Brotherhood Electrical Workers Local Union 3. Thank you for coming out in full force to celebrate with us. I want to thank Raymond Melville, Derek Jordan, Rick Rollins, Lewis Howard Lattimore. And I definitely want to thank the Veterans Club for providing and having this wonderful honor guard come out here and celebrate with us. Thank you so much. You did an amazing, awesome job. Tuskegee Airman, Inc. Tri-State. Thank you for being here with us today to support one of your own, Tuskegee Airman Lieutenant Lee A. Hayes. And for not letting the world forget about the sacrifice that the Tuskegee Airmen made for this country. Thank you so much. National Tuskegee Airmen Motor Club of New York. We honor your presence here today. We are overwhelmed with joy that you decided to participate with the Hayes family in leading us in the walk of an American hero. Don Hudson, thank you for reaching out to the family. American Legion Post 419, we thank you for being such a major part of this event, providing the venue for this celebration and honoring the late Lee Hayes membership, especially Stephanie Daigle and Fred Overton. Richard Lewin and Richard Whalen, thank you for being present to capture these precious moments for the Hayes family. Also, Ben Carlin and Maya Jones from Hampton and Shades of Long Island, thank you for your support. Claude Orkins from Sports Time, thank you for graciously providing courtesy parking for this special celebration. There are so many in this event that made it successful. If I left anyone off, believe me, it truly was not intentional. To the Hayes family, give yourself a round of applause and pat yourself on the back. You should be honored to call yourself a Hayes. They made a true sacrifice for us. Due to limited time, there is no way to actually thank every Hayes. We plan on having a special ceremony to thanking each and every one of us. Thank you, everyone. Just know your hard work and sacrifices have not gone unnoticed, especially the Hayes 13 Planning Committee. But there is one Hayes I must thank now for being so relentless and dedicated and keeping the Hayes legacy alive Kelly Hayes. Thank you for your love, your passion, your positive energy, and keeping us focused. We present this shirt to you because you kept the boots on the ground. I would like to thank 4 special people here today. My grandchildren. They did a video, a tribute of all their family members. And it was a lot because they had to do the Hayeses, the Hopsons, the Hartwells, the Pritchards. So they had to include everybody. But my 4 grandchildren, if they would stand up. Leah, Hopson, Lena Soleil Hopson, Devon Hopson, Kaysen Hopson. Thank you. They're the ones who set this off because I had a hat that Devon received a hat, my oldest grandson, from his grandfather on his mother's side, retired Matthew Thomas, Army. And the hat meant the world to him. So after he wanted to learn so much more, so I told him he had a great uncle named Tuskegee Airman Lieutenant Lee A. Hayes, and he wanted to know so much more about him. So we decided to get together and do a video, and they were so precious in that video. In closing, with that video, my grandchildren and I were recording the veteran tribute. At one point in the video, I was excited, and I said, I come from such a rich family legacy of veterans. And my granddaughter said, hold up, stop, hold up. Natty, you said we're rich? That's all she focused on was, we're rich? She said, so where's the money? I said, well, Lee, you can see here today how rich you really are. It's not always monetary. This is rich right here, right now. All of the love, family support, unity to celebrate our relative, Tuskegee Airman Lieutenant Lee A. Hayes, who made the ultimate sacrifice of his life to celebrate his 100th birthday, June the 20th, is nothing but pure richness. We are rich. Thank you everyone for coming out and support.
Raymond Melville.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ray Melville. I was senior assistant business manager for Local 3. I worked for Local 3 for 50 years. It's my honor to thank the color guard and to dismiss them now. Thank you. Well, they dismiss. I just want to mention a few members of Local 3. The president of the Veterans Club is Greg Smith, and the vice president, Pat Glennon, are here today. So Pat, Greg, appreciate very much your efforts here today. It's a little hard act to follow, Jolynn, I must say. Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I would just like to start off with Denver. What a voice. I just couldn't tell how beautiful that voice was, and I appreciate that so much. This is what Local 3 would call a trifecta weekend. Today, renaming Amagansett Park to Lieutenant Lee A. Hayes Youth Park. Tomorrow, Juneteenth, and Monday, Lieutenant Lee Archer Hayes' 100th birthday. A few years ago, my friend over 30 years, Kelly Hayes, also a member of Local 3, brought his uncle, Lieutenant Lee Hayes, to Local 3 Union meeting, and it was introduced by the business manager, Christopher Erickson, to almost 1,000 electricians. He got in front of that group. I wish I had your tape with me right now. The blowing up pretty hard up here. He described the members of Local 3, how his mother and father were treated, how his 12 siblings were treated. He recalled how he would walk to school summer, winter, fall, rain, snow, heat, walking through the woods, and he recalled watching the school bus carry the white children to his school. He spoke about the discrimination with his entire family went through, including employment opportunities. He worked on a farm gathering potatoes, in construction, and teaching himself carpentry skills. He talked about joining the Army, but his mother refused to sign the papers. He eventually was drafted. Can anyone imagine working as a farmhand, then flying airplanes, fighting Germans, protecting American pilots and our country, and then landing to be subjected to discrimination on his own field? Lieutenant Hayes was no longer a farmhand. He was a Tuskegee Airman, a proud member of one of the best units ever to fly the skies. When he completed his tour, he wanted to be a licensed commercial pilot, and he was denied. Lieutenant Hayes at one time joked that he could fly 3,000 feet in the air and drop a bomb in a garbage can. I often wondered if any executives in the airline industry read that, and that was probably one of the reasons they wouldn't give him a license. Yeah, the airmen that were black could not get a commercial license until the mid-60s. When Lieutenant Hayes finished, every member of that meeting was on their feet. They recognized that they had just been given a history lesson by an historian, a man of integrity, a man who has endured so much pain and hardship, a family man, and a true American hero. His message was clear. Don't treat other human beings like he, his family, and his communities have been treated because of the color of their skin. I wanted to tell the Hayes family, in my 50 years of Local 3, I attended many ceremonies. This is the first time I've ever been at a ceremony with a family that has done so much for their community and this nation. Yours. Years ago, we would ask, how do you describe men like Lieutenant Lee Archie Hayes? And the answer was simple. You would say, sir. You would call him sir. And with that, conclude my remarks. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much to the Hayes family. And have a beautiful ceremony. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Renard Burns.
Good afternoon. I'm so proud and honored to be part of this celebration. I am the Relations Officer for the Columbia Van Tri-State Chapter, Tuskegee Airman, Incorporated. Lieutenant Hayes was part of this prestigious group, and I see on the back of the program, it says, they told me I couldn't fly. I did. In 1925, the Army War College came out with a statement that said blacks could not fly. They lacked the intelligence, coordination, perseverance to pilot airplanes. This is what they fought against until they went into the war. Even during the war, all of the commanders believed this statement by the Army War College. So it wasn't just that I couldn't get to a plane, but everybody they worked under, until they got to a chance to prove themselves overseas, believed that they could not fly. During the entire time of their service, they still believed, their superiors for the most part, that they could not fly. And even toward the end, they started trying to overseas who went through the training. Mr. Bill Johnson arrived at Tuskegee Army Airfield for training on D-Day. When I spoke to him, his face lit up as he explained what it was like to arrive on D-Day and go out to the field and watch those planes flying overhead. He was in Glen Cove and watched the planes flying out of Mitchell Field, looking up saying, I want to be up there, knowing that there were no black pilots. As I listened to the eulogy for Lieutenant Hayes, he is the epitome and indicative of all the other Tuskegee Airmen. In spite of what they had to endure during the war and after the war, they still were uplifting, forward-thinking, and always trying to enlighten youth, adults, and everyone else around them to what they could do. Their primary purpose after the war was to educate and promote education. There's nothing you cannot do if you put your mind to it. They fought a war overseas. They fought a war at home. They fought in fighter planes. They trained in D-25 bombers with the 477 bombardment group. I am so happy to have known them. There are very few left, but their legacy lives on. And what is primary to remember is that they endured and still came back and said, I can do this. I can do anything that can be done. All I have to do is stay focused and keep my mind and keep my eyes ahead. And that has been their message to this day. And I remember that, and that is what keeps me involved. You say the black pilots out of World War II were not able to fly commercial planes, even though they fought so well and flew with such precision during the war. Just to show where they have gone, I was flown out here today by members of the New York Metro Black Pilots Association. We have members over here. So their legacy lives on. Their job and their focus now is to train other black youths to become pilots and become part of aeronautics. I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you to the Hayes family for allowing me to hear all the things about Lieutenant Hayes. I am enlightened. I am invigorated, for lack of a better word, to continue. When things get tough, it's time to get going again. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett.
Is that good? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Good morning. It's so good to be here with all of you. And what an amazing thing to be here for. To honor Lieutenant Lee Archer Hayes, as well as celebrate the town of East Hampton's official Juneteenth celebration. As you heard, I'm Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and since it's Juneteenth weekend, I'm going to discuss some Black history with you, discuss some slavery, talk about what African Americans have done in the country. Is that all right with all of you? Yeah. We're just going to tell the truth, right? That's what I believe America is about. That's what makes us so different than other places. We have the same issues everybody else has all over the world. Don't be fooled by those other countries that appear to have it together when it comes to race issues. They got them. We're just the ones that are willing to talk about it, are willing to expose it, willing to move on from it in many instances. Face our wrongs, face what's wrong with us, and try and change. That's what makes America great. I want to thank this town and so many of you for allowing me to be here. I want to especially thank Peter Von Skiek and his staff. Of course, my dear friend Alita Williams, who told me I had to be here, which is why I'm really here. For nearly 40 years, I've had the pleasure, the honor to get to know and love the Hayes family. Queen, Lee's late younger sister, may she rest in peace, welcomed me into the family. I remember Aunt Helen giving me the once-over all the time, going and visiting Aunt Dee Dee in New York City, being offered chitlins from her. What I remember best is that this is a giving family, willing to take in strays, willing to take in others, quietly and most importantly, doing the work, doing what's best for them, their family, and their community. The nicknames that you all have, I've never seen a family that have more nicknames than y'all Hayes. Easygoing, a willingness to joke about yourself, to be willing to forgive, and lots of food, which brings me all the time. Over the years, I've shared in both the laughter and the sorrow, the joy and the pain in this family, and I'm so grateful to be here to speak not on behalf of just myself, but for the 117th Congress, my staff, and particularly members of the Black Caucus, who are so happy for what this family has done. We know that 400 years ago, African Americans came to this country in bondage, exploited mercilessly in pursuit of gain and greed. On June 19, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived at Galveston, Texas, to give the joyous news that the slaves were free, 2 years after the Emancipation Declaration. A century and a half later, we celebrate and honor this day that marks the commencement of our freedom and the continuous path to our independence and equality. Those slaves that General Granger found in Galveston, Texas, were part of the millions of Black people that have given free labor to build this country. Their contribution to this country is what has made it what it is. The invaluable contributions of so many phenomenal Black men and women who have often been excluded and erased from history. That's why it's so crucial for Black families to share and pass down the stories of their exceptional and rich lineage. And thank you to the Hayes family for doing that in this instance. The Hayes family has been an integral part in the growth and development of the East Hampton community. In this very park, generations of Hayes played softball and tag, rode bikes up and down Town Lane. They bought property, built houses, they made homes, paved streets, they christened with family names. The spirits of your ancestors, Jenny and Gurley, those 13 children, live on in each and every one of you. The renaming of this park for Lise Hayes is a symbol of that legacy. Lieutenant Hayes and his fellow Tuskegee Airmen were vanguards of African American community in their valiant, fearless, dedicated service to the United States Armed Forces. Not 80 years since their ancestors were freed from captivity, Lee was breaking down the barriers that no slave or even his parents could have ever conceived or imagined. The Tuskegee Airmen were among those on the forefront, fighting for this country and for their honor, demonstrating that they were equal, believable, and should be seen. They believed that their contributions were their very best, some with even their lives. Despite the risk and hardship involved, Lee pursued his dreams and was undeterred by racial obstacles he continuously faced. His resolve and courage are a testament that determination and dedication can overcome even the most unsurmountable odds. He and others like him are the people whose footsteps we follow. They have bequeathed to us a duty to not become satisfied or complacent with half rights or partial equality. No longer are we simply the property of another man. We have come too far and fought too hard to settle for anything less than the full actualization of citizenship and acknowledgement of our humanity. Now, after today, the Hayes family, y'all have done your duty to your ancestors. You have created a place for all to see. But there is more work to be done. Each and every one of you Hayes, y'all need to look to the future now. To the future. That means that you have to take up the fight that he did. Fighting for his country and to maintain our democracy against tyrants. He did it against Hitler. Some of us have to do it against ideas. against the things that divide us in this country, that are trying to keep us back. And you, each and every one of you, have a part in that fight as well. And we need you on the front line, whether that's voting, whether that's raising your voice, whether that's being an ally of those who are oppressed. We all have our job, and we all have to do it to maintain the democracy that Lee Hayes and others like him fought for. I hope and pray that as we commemorate this day and pay homage to him and all the Tuskegee Airmen, pay homage to our emancipation, to our freedom, a fire is ignited within each of us to forge a brighter future for ourselves and the generation to come. So happy Juneteenth to you all, and happy early birthday to Uncle Lee. God bless you, and God bless America.
Now we're going to unveil the plaque in the kiosk.
Here on the other side, you can see a large boulder draped with covering. And underneath of that is a plaque commemorating this park to Lieutenant Lee Hayes, Tuskegee Airman. And on the plaque it says, "They told me I couldn't fly, I did."
Yes, that's right.
I want to thank the East Hampton Town Bias Task Force who helped contribute funds for these improvements to the park. And at this time I'd like to ask Julian Hopson, Lena Williams to join me in unveiling
Beautiful, sorry.
Anyone leaving this park will now get to see Leo.